Yep.
Hi again. Hopefully you're still there. This is Nora. I'm the
Hi
art show
again.
co-chair
Hopefully
and
you're still there.
publications
This is
chair,
Nora.
and I'm also
I'm
on the
the art show co-chair
engineering stream
and
team for who've been bringing all this lovely video. Yay! They can hear us this time. Awesome. I'd like to thank Steve Murphy and Natasha Krentz for getting us into this, sort of. I'm here with John Sloan, our artist guest of honor, who did our t-shirt art and also the famous emojis of doom that you've been enjoying on Discord this weekend. Hi, John.
Hey there.
We were talking a couple of weeks ago about how the pandemic has affected our artwork, and we thought it would be cool to talk about it online because we can't be the only ones who have been going through this. And I realized last night that we weren't, because there were some writers who have been doing crafty things as well. So this kind of thing causes, oh man, a lot of things. And I was afraid that we in this era had really no great art form to talk about. And John, you talked about postmodernism being the big thing since like
Right, and just all the different ways that I guess with especially with the explosion of social media, that I think that it's more kind of like gone through like the streams of different fads and things like that, like some of the examples we were discussing earlier. So.
Mhm.
Uh,
I was a little afraid that we might be the era of the meme, because it seems to be a prevalent art form on social media. Um, and that
the
was
meme.
frightening me.
Yeah, the meme and the soundbite, because it
Oh,
seems like, with just the fast pace of how people digest and, just spit out information on social media and stuff like that. It just seems like we need to, this is just my personal opinion, but we just need to find artwork or a movement or something like that, just makes us kind of just stop a little bit and just kind of re-engage a little bit more of the intellectual process as far as that goes.
I think craft art has come a long way in doing that.
Yes.
Soft art, uh, ceramics, and 3D art in a big way. Masks, in particular, have become
Oh, sure, sure.
using not so much the form of it itself, but the fabrics that folks use. There's so many
Right.
sci-fi ones, but um, crocheting and embroidery and things like that. And then flat media um, can be shared more readily electronically. And I remember a time when artists were going to be were feeling threatened that electronic media was going to be the only way we would ever see flat media, because museums of the past
Hmm.
um, at the time. So, and then um, 2020 comes along with its pandemic, and then um, the world's changed, and normal is a word we're kind of lamenting these days. And um,
Well, kind of as the little joke goes, normal is pretty much just a setting on the washing machine. So.
so true. It's funny, I haven't heard that before now. Goodness. But then with it came some pretty creative thinking, like we just talked about with the soft art, and another resurgence that's come up. I haven't seen any of it lately, but this showed up. Try to pull it up. Recreating masterpieces in your home. And I just saw this one again recently, and it was just where you
Yeah.
say, the stove or the roast pot for the hat, and
Yes, that's a very creative thing. I just love the way that they've recreated, especially with the stuffed dog to represent the dog. However, they well, obviously, since in the image of the original artwork, the guy's feet are obscured, because the whole idea there is that Jan Arnolfini there is supposed to be barefoot, because this is such a sacred event,
oh,
and this guy's
okay.
wearing shoes. So.
Well, see, that's the modern. part of it.
Yes.
So obviously, not to mention the sleeping bag or the comforter I think she's wearing as a with the little stuffed dog and the pan that's hanging on the wall back there. People got very creative or are starting to reflect how we're feeling now, I think, after being in isolation for a year. This one's one of my favorites. Especially with cats becoming our best buddies now,
Oh, yes.
or dogs, as the case may be.
Yep.
This one actually, I think, would win at a costume competition.
Oh, I definitely would vote for something like this. I mean, that's
Totally.
a very, very well done interpretation of Picasso.
Oh yeah, very much. And of course, the perpetual toilet paper, which we cannot live without. I heard recently that 2020 or 2021 is just like 2020, but we have toilet paper.
Exactly. So
So
far, yes.
so far, and
Oh, nice interpretation of the modern still life.
exactly, exactly. And what happens with COVID hair? You know.
Exactly, exactly.
So, oh my goodness. Um, but I also ran across, um, well, it started with change being the only constant in the universe. For us, it often means creative growth in an
Yes.
ideal world, right? But it can also mean creative decline. And I think you and I have had different experiences with the change. I've seen it
Well, most
impact.
definitely.
Oh yeah, it's impacted me a lot. I haven't done a lot of original. I haven't done fine arts work in a while because of this. And a lot of artists I've seen on Instagram or watch on Instagram were very prolific, and then about a month into it, they crashed a little bit and were just posting past work, and they started picking up again, but it's been very slow. Um, and with an apology for their absence, which really I think is unnecessary because we're all going through a thing. But um, then, so for me, I experienced a decline in it, and I do draw for work now as a patent illustrator. So I think some of my creative intuitiveness is being funneled into that instead of in full color.
Right. And I think there also might be a little bit of a conflict there because it's like, especially if you're doing it as a job, just the impetus to want to be doing it just for, your own enjoyment and stuff like that kind of gets lessened a little bit, especially after you've been, slaving away doing all these illustrations and designs for, 9 to 5, and then all of a sudden it's like, past that and you're just like, ugh.
Hmm.
Um, I guess I'm a little bit on the other end of the spectrum as far as that goes. My job is very, very, very solitary. I work overnight security, and it's like I'm lucky if I see maybe 10, 15 people in my entire 8 hour shift between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and such. And so I have a lot of downtime where I'm sitting, at the desk, just observing the security cameras and stuff like that. So it's very, very solitary. um, I found that I was turning more towards my artwork as kind of like my little place of refuge, my way of just dealing with everything that was going on. And I think because of that, just kind of, paying more attention to it, that gave me some, well, I don't hate to use the term weird, but just unusual, spurts of creative energy where I felt since, I'm paying so much attention or I'm trying to distract myself from a lot of the events that happened, through last year, even through like the beginning of this year.
And you guys
Um,
had a lot. I mean,
Yes.
on top of everything
That's
else.
yeah, that, I mean, yeah, there is that whole aspect of a little bit of escapism, but I kind of, as creative types, we need that.
Yeah, we do.
And so it was more or less just saying, okay, especially with my comic strip, it's like, this is my little universe that I control, and I want to be able to, just see how much, I can, build this thing. And it led to, I remember I was writing, um, it was like around the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021, where all of a sudden I was like writing and doing like rough layouts of my comic strip all the way through to like July of this year.
Oh wow.
I was just like on this huge roll as far as that went. And, while I was doing that, that was sparking like another comics project that I was trying to go through a little bit. Um,
Cool.
so,
Okay. Well, and then I came across an article this week from the New York Times. It was 7 questions, 75 artists, one very bad year. And they asked 7 questions of 75 artists who had various answers that could be either creative or life oriented. And I thought we could use those as a guide to go through the rest of this talk.
oh, certainly.
Um, so we'll start with number one. Um, what's one thing you made this year? Um,
Uh, well, you can go first. What
I
was
can go
what was
first.
one thing that you made?
One thing I made was my COVID journal, and I started it late. I started it on the 22nd of March, and I'd already been in lockdown since the 18th. Um, Basically, that means that work said, no, you don't have to cover the office anymore. You get to go home and work from home. So, this journal or this book is one of the handmade books by Eric Stewart, who is shown in the art show before. And he has a funny way of putting a book into the show that's black, maybe with silver on it. And then I end up going home with it. But then a year later, he'll ask me when he sees me, how's that journal working out for you? And I'm like, just fine, Eric. And you can tell I haven't done anything with it, right? So this year I grabbed it and I started writing. Um, and this is actually my prayer list. Everybody that I'm praying for goes on this little card and it keeps going page to page to page because the right side of the book is notes from sermon notes from church services. Because if I don't start writing it down, it's like I start thinking about, did I turn off the coffee? Is the stove still on? Where's the cat? Well,
Yeah, all the little things that you kind of get a little OCD about. So,
right. I also started writing in notes from podcasts that I had listened to. That's the art of the score, where they talk about they take movie scores and just sort of take them apart. And I'm not that highfalutin of a musician by any means, but I do love movie music. So it's fun to listen to composers and music aficionados go through my favorite music. But then I started adding comic strips. The one here with the two cats saying they were originally bred to feed us and change our litter box, meaning us. And those leaves are from the fall color tour. I think maybe the first one we went on with a couple friends of ours from church. And then quotes from things that I've read or heard. Um, and books that I just was going through. And then I also bought a pen. This is Diva Plava Laguna by a shop called Birmingham. They took the pen and they named it after the diva in The Fifth Element. And I felt kind of hard for it. So anyway, that was that. That's the one thing that I made. And the journal itself is almost full now. I talked to Eric about it earlier today, and he's told me what paper I can use because I want to start, because we've reached anniversaries now, and I'm about to approach dates that I wrote about last year. So I want to write about how it is now and put it into the book. So that's what
sure.
I've done. That's one of the things.
Okay. Most of my, I should say, other comic strip related work has been primarily doing work for MarshCon, since they tapped me to be the artist gets honor again this year, which is which is really really great. I've been having a lot of fun with it. The theme that we had this year was really really great. Just to kind of share a screen. If you haven't come around to take a look at my Discord. This is where a lot of that was coming from. It was like as soon as they told me uh, the theme was going to be Forces of Darkness, this was like the first idea that I came up with. With it was actually inspired by that Don Henley song, "The Garden of Allah." You know,
Okay.
where he had that line about the guy in the seersucker suit. So
Yes.
it's like immediately I pulled up this image of a guy wearing a seersucker suit because I just wanted to know just what the heck was one of those, since obviously I'm not one of fine tailorship. So I just took that and I just kind of ran with it. Like you can see the nice little faces and the swirling cigar smoke
Oh, oh
and
yeah, the red paint.
the little red glow in one lens of his Ray Bans there. So
The Terminator eye glow
just about.
for sure.
And so pretty much I just wanted to just kind of have like a kind of like a little dark theme to it, but also just have a little sense of fun. Like this doomed scientist that I have here. This was like one of the very first ideas that I had for the t-shirt design here. I just thought it was going to be
Well,
nice and
then
creepy and such.
all of these were T-shirt suggestions that you took and
Yeah,
took home.
yeah,
Basically this and the one that
yeah.
with
And this one ended up being just my favorites and a lot of people's favorite as well. It was originally entitled Emojis of Doom, and then since I made a different poster with all the separate emojis titled that, I had to retitle it, We Emojis Attack or something like that. So
sure.
I was just inspired by like the 1950s horror movies
Yeah,
and things like that, and
the blob.
it was just nothing but fun drawing this. And then I that just kind of spurred the other emoji art that I turned out. And again, as far as just like individual emojis, this one is probably like my favorite, just the way that the design turned out. It's especially with just how goofy the expression is, especially with the mouth and everything. Just
Right.
you know, every once in a while, you just hit those sketches where everything just, the universe just goes into sync for you there.
Yes.
So,
My God.
so
Okay. Cool. So then the next question was, what art have you turned to in this time? Um, and for you, I don't know that if you did you change any mediums or did you stick with what you knew?
I think just to try to keep with that little sense of keeping what little I can control, I stuck to pretty much what I already knew, which was, good old, pen and pencil. And as far as artists go, one of the artists that I was turning to quite a bit was Dan DeCarlo. He's a cartoonist. He did a lot of work for the Archie comics, especially from like the 1960s up through the
Oh,
1990s or
sure.
so.
Okay.
He created the character of Josie. Kind of funny, he created that character after his wife Josette came back from the hairstylist with a bouffant hairdo. So he
Yes.
decided to create a teenage version of his wife, and then it started off as like he wanted to do a regular little 4-panel comic strip for newspapers. That kind of fell through, so he developed it into basically another character for the Archie universe. And he didn't even have to pitch it. He just brought it in. One of the publisher staff looked at it, says, okay, let's put this book out. So
Well,
I just really enjoyed his very slick line work,
mhm.
his expression, his movement, and everything like that. And I also thought it was just kind of interesting just to kind of study his dichotomy with his artwork, because not only did he do like the wholesome good girl, Archie work, but he also did like a lot of cartoons for like the men's humor magazines like Humorama and stuff like that in the 1960s. So it's just fascinating just to kind of study that dichotomy, kind of like the angel and devil sides to an artist's personality as far as that goes.
Right. Huh. Okay. Well, I managed to. I have an iPad and a Apple Pencil to go with it, thanks to my job, actually. Um, and I started working with an online an app called Procreate, working digitally, and it took a couple of adjustments because the screen is a lot slipperier than actual paper. So
Mm.
I found a screen protector that sort of imitates or creates a little bit more drag.
Oh, I believe I've seen ads for things like that. Yes.
Exactly. And I have a writing partner. We've been working on some steampunk stories. So I thought, well, I'll take the
Nice.
characters that we've been working on and do some portrait work with them. So I started doing that, and I'll pull these up pretty quick. So I started with someone who's easy to draw, more or less,
Carl Urban.
fun to draw at the very least.
Surprised it
Well,
isn't Chris Evans.
you'd think it would be, but no. Chris Evans doesn't fit this character. Carl definitely does.
Ah,
And so then it was a matter of, um, let's see, he had the right expression, but he didn't quite have the right hair going at the time. And this is
ah,
steampunk, so he needed the period sideburns a little bit too.
uh-huh.
And that
Hello,
combined
everyone at MarsCon.
became the
How's it going?
character that
Woo!
you see in the
MarsCon
middle.
Oh, there
2025.
we go. Okay.
This is the
And then
cosplay
since I was doing
panel, which
him,
is cosplay
I
with the T.
decided to start with the other one. This
Hey, look
is
at that. Again, I'm
Scott.
here in Cisco. I totally should have
Oh God,
made that a
what is
thing.
his last?
Anyway,
Eastwood.
but seriously, we're going to be
Hmm.
talking about how to make,
So
find,
start with
and
him, very young,
modify
very modelish
costumes,
sort of
accessories, and
look, but he
props
needed to have
for
green hazel
cosplay.
eyes with
Which
that
is often
weird
remake
orange in the
because we know
middle.
that cosplay is for
It's
Ah,
everybody
essential
and
for the
everybody,
character.
but it's also for
And I found
every
one that had a better
budget.
jawline.
My name is
And
T. Aaron
then
Cisco.
his nose was wrong in just about everything. I mean, trying to find him in the right pose is impossible.
oh,
Plus,
just so frustrating. Just trying to find the right photo references
oh my
sometimes, right?
gosh. And wardrobe for period and everything. So it started with this because I was giving
Oh,
him
very
glasses
nice. I like the streak.
and then moved on from there. And I've changed him this many times because this was becoming a little too, I did something wrong with his chin, or his
Hmm.
jaw in this one. He became more effeminate than I wanted. And this is what
Well,
he
like
was
they
wrong.
say, keep working that play till you get it right. So,
And the cool thing about Procreate is that I can make different versions of it and then just keep, because there's, I don't know how many layers. I have 2 layers on this for sure, 3. The
hmm.
underlayment to start, the layer that I work on, and then this background behind him is a different layer too. So
Ah,
you can manipulate all of that. And I'm finding that it's combining my fine arts training because I have done, you've seen the work, portrait work in traditional media with my
sure.
digital training. So I'm finding a way to break away from my job and back into my art.
Oh, very nice.
So that's what I did.
Ah,
And I'm going to stop. I need to get back and stop sharing, but it's not. Okay.
okay.
Back.
So now I have the list of the questions that we have as well, and I thought that question number 3 was particularly interesting when it's asked, "Did you have any particularly bad ideas?"
Right? Yeah.
Um,
Did you come up with one?
well, I don't know if I would necessarily call them bad ideas. I would say that they were more like mistimed ideas as far as my comic strip went. I know this is going to sound like completely, for people who don't follow my comic strip, the Dojang, very much, but
Yeah.
I just came across a couple of ideas that just sounded a little too much like crossing over into soap opera territory. In my current plot line, my main character Jim is just recovering. Well, actually, he's kind of in between two different heart surgeries and stuff like that.
Oh,
And there's like kind of
yeah.
an old flame that's kind of come back to kind of stake her territory. And as far as that went, and one of the ideas that I had was to have her actually, reveal that she has a daughter who's in trouble and she needs Jim's help in that
Ooh,
respect.
okay.
And then there was another one where I had would have her have Celeste, the character, his old flame, just like, kind of like out of character, just kind of really professing her feelings for Jim before he goes into his second surgery, which didn't really fit because it's like she already was with around when he got through his first surgery. He got through that just fine, and she knew that the next surgery wasn't going to be as hazardous. So it's like, why would she get that worked up if she knows that things are going to go fairly smoothly at this point? So
Right,
it just didn't fit, and it was just like, you're out. So how
right.
about yourself?
Me, not so much story or art oriented, but more physically, particularly bad ideas. I was determined to not move into the space I'm in right now because this is my drawing table that I'm working on. It's been set up as my workspace since I moved down in the basement. Because the bad idea was sitting at that dining room table way longer than I should have, for probably like a week longer than I should have, because that dining room table is not a good space. And that chair was super hard.
Ouch.
It didn't do me much good. And I was determined, who knew we were going to be here this long for sure. And I hate that my drawing table is my workspace, but it's really the only space that makes sense, unfortunately. And
Understood.
um, that's why I can't wait to get back to the office because the sooner I can get this resituated. And I thought about resituating different places in the room, but I have the windows here now and I kind of like looking out and getting distracted. Like there's a woman who walks her dog past the windows. When it was really, really dark, she had this like LED light
Hmm.
vest
Oh yeah, I've seen
on,
those.
and her dog had one. He had a harness. My brother was visiting here at the time and he came off from the deck and said, "You better come out here and see this. There's a Borg out on the street." I'm like, "What?" And I saw the lady, and it was either Borg or one of the MIB people, that they're watching, is what I thought when I first saw her go by. And so there's that. But I think the bad idea was not moving down here sooner because it feels better. But
Sure, sure.
yeah, anyway, that was
So
that was it.
so moving on, number four was a really, really interesting question, and I
Yeah.
mean that was out of that list. This was the one that really kind of hit me the most. There, it said, "What's a moment from this year that you'll always remember?" Um, I think it hit like in the within the first month of lockdown when everybody was really going for the whole isolation thing and stuff like that. I remember there was a meme that was floating around. Someone was it was like a bunch of images from Edward Hopper paintings and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And the caption was, now everybody knows what it's like to be in an Edward Hopper painting, and that just hit me. Not only as also an art history aficionado, but also I don't think I had really grasped the just how um, personally shocking involuntary isolation is.
Right.
I mean, being an introvert myself, I know what it's like to voluntarily need to, take time for yourself and, try to recharge your batteries and stuff like that. But when there's aspects of it that you can't control
Hmm.
and just dealing with that just really, hit me
You don't
pretty
want to be forced into introversion, you know.
yes.
It's like, yeah, you have to stay put and stay away from people. And I'm like, no, I don't. I want to do what I want to do. If I want to do this, I'll do this.
Right, right.
I didn't even think of it in that respect until you mentioned it just now. I've thought of myself as an introvert too, because yeah, as a creative person, you kind of have to be, because
Yes.
you need that alone time in order to create something, to get it out of your brain. And but now that I'm not interacting with people at work every day, um, I think that there's part of that interaction that fuels the creativity too. So
Yes.
missing that is also part of why my artwork fell. Um, that's a good insight. Mine was there was a moment about 6 months ago. My chiropractor is downtown. It's part of the reason why I took the job. It's only 2 blocks from my building, and I still go down there to get adjusted. And I went like in the deep of when everybody was locked down and there wasn't as much traffic. There wasn't much traffic around me, and I was going early in the morning. Um, and I look up and the light was hitting the buildings in such a way that it felt like one of those dystopian scenes when someone's actually going back to the city that's been abandoned for who knows
Oh, right,
how long
right.
because all the people disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the dead are walking around, that kind of thing. It was very chilling. It hit me the same way that I saw a video right after, like on the day of 9/11, and I haven't seen it since. It was of the firemen and the first responders running toward the camera,
Right.
as if they were running toward the towers, and the looks on their faces, they were so determined to get in there and to save everyone. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I think I haven't seen that video again is because most of them didn't come back out.
Right.
It had that same, I don't, gravitas, is that the word?
Sounds about
um
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I and just kind of had a similar type of sensation like that. My wife works downtown Minneapolis in the government center,
Yeah.
and she's been working from
Ooh.
home since last March. But we actually had to go back to the government center building a few times to pick up some items from her office and stuff like that. And like you had mentioned about like the deserted streets and things like that, I remembered that quite vividly, especially, I mean, we're parking in streets in downtown Minneapolis, and the streets are almost barren. I mean, we're lucky if you're seeing like a car go by like every minute or
And you
so.
used to be lucky to just find a spot at a meter.
Right. So, and just kind of looking around, hardly seeing anybody, and even, like walking in between buildings and stuff like that, you're not seeing any foot traffic or anything like that, kind of, feels like, you're walking through a scene of the Omega Man or something like that. So,
Yes, it was so creepy. Oh, all right. Um, you want to
so
do number 5 or should I?
oh, go ahead, please.
Okay. Number 5, the fifth question. Did you find a friendship that sustained you artistically? Um, I didn't find one. I had one already. My writing partner Roz, she actually lives in Indianapolis, and we communicate by text more than we do by voice. But she helped me with the drawings that you saw, and she has had a huge influence on those characters. But also, oddly enough, been supportive in ways creatively and with life stuff, just more than the people around me, which is weird. And yet, you develop friendships under this format, in the social media format of these times, that can sometimes be more solid than your real life ones. And I'm not sure why that is. But I feel closer to her, even with the distance between us, than I have before. And it's been good because I always have this, what would Roz do? It's kind of like I did with the emojis when I redid them, you know. And it helps pull me outside myself a little bit.
Sure. Um, with myself, I guess, kind of like you had mentioned, that it wasn't like starting a new friendship, but more or less just kind of galvanizing a few established friendships that I've had over the years.
Right.
And especially with a few friends that were purposefully reaching out to me, just check in and stuff like that. Especially one of my friends from the International Cartoonist Conspiracy. She lives up like around St. Cloud area and stuff like that. She
Oh,
used to be in the cities here and stuff like that, but she would periodically call me up, just to chat, just to, check in on me and everything like that. And, which was really great because we could, swap stories and, talk about, what are you doing or what are you working on? What are you doing with your comic this week and all that sort of thing, which
okay.
really, really helped. And there were like a few, like I said, it's other established friendships of people I've known for at least like some 30 some years or so. Um, like my friend Kirk, who lives up around like Kettle River, kind of in the up north in the sticks where where I did most of my growing up there.
Okay.
He has been great as far as like trying to help promote my work, and I've been trying to promote his work as much as I can. He works with this group called the Kettle River Project, and they make short horror films.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I've seen some of his work, and he has been begging me to come up and be in one of his movies. So I'm, just
Thank
waiting
you.
to get my 2 shots so I can go up there and maybe be killed or something like that. So
Get to do your best death scene.
exactly my best screen death. So
Yeah, absolutely. Do you
so,
think
but
that your friendship with him influenced the work that you did for us for Marsville?
um Uh, mm, well, a little bit because I mean I've known Kirk for years. He graduated with my younger brother and all that sort of thing, and we
Okay.
kept in touch pretty well. But I liked how he, without any prompting or anything like that on my part, he just told me out of the, flat out one time. He's like, just thank you for constantly bringing us, new material, especially during these trying times, because that's really helped me out quite so much. And another friend of mine, Beatriz, who lives in Honduras, she teaches at the university in Tegucigalpa, and I've done Zoom calls with her second year students,
Oh, wow.
because she teaches mass communications, and she does kind of like a multimedia type class with those particular, like that particular class, like every year for second years and stuff like that. So I've had the opportunity to speak with her students at about 4 or 5 times already, and she's always talks about how, just how motivated the students get after they talk with me and stuff like that. But one of the things that just really, really touched me was forward to seeing my strip every day, because she said it was this
Wow.
nice little oasis of fun and positivity where she didn't have to get reminded of what the political situations were going on or the social situations or anything like that. She could just take like a few minutes and just, kind of, put that out of her mind and be able to just read something, that was, just fun, just sheer entertainment, that wasn't like griping about this or whining about that. And
Wow.
especially as a cartoonist, that is gold. I mean, because cartooning is such a solitary activity to begin with. I mean, hardly ever know, what people are thinking about your work, or even if they're reading it, for crying out loud. So Ah, it was just something that just struck me so much. And I mean, talk about your creative fuel. That's, stuff that will, keep you going, at least for like another couple of years or so, just to
Right.
know that you're making that kind of impact.
That is amazing. That's oh, that is so cool to have that feedback. I get that from Roz too. She says that if it wasn't for what we're creating together, and for the most part, she has the ideas and I have the writing. Um, she can write,
Hmm.
but she's not as good at visualizing it and then describing the visualization.
Oh, okay.
And then so we go back and forth together, and she has editing rights on everything because a lot of the situations and characters come from her, but then I'm fleshing it. It's almost like ghostwriting, like we're ghostwriting each other in a way.
Hmm. It's
Um,
more of a collaboration than a ghostwriting thing.
Very much, yeah. It's a collaboration, a full one, and we've been trying to come up with a co-pen name for a while, but um, yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I feel the same way about just comics in the paper, and you and I have talked about Michael Jansky,
Yes.
and his sanity sketches on Instagram. I love watching him do
Yeah.
that, and just what he does with watercolor, and just being able to do that is like you said, a great escape, which yeah is not something you want to do all the time, but I think that you need to do in order to come back and focus on.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that little distraction just to reset your systems
Yep.
as far as that goes.
Oh, oh,
So,
we have some the chats that Mars compounds for those on Discord. You can use. Oh, Natasha's telling everyone that you can use the Discord, the emojis of doom, and the reactions on the channel for sure. And everybody loves the emojis of doom, especially your number one fan, John. Whatever. Well, and I want to put in a plug also for the art show team. I don't know about you, but I haven't had a team when I've done the art show before, and being able to have you guys, you and Jan and Natasha and Rachel, do this work with me is a godsend. So, um, and let's see, we're down to I think 2 questions. Um, Number 6, if you'd known that you would be isolated for this long, although you haven't been isolated as much as I have because you've been out and about as an essential,
yes.
what would you have done differently?
To be completely honest, I really don't know if I would have done anything all that differently because, like you had just mentioned, being the essential worker, being a security officer, and stuff like that. I mean, yes, I did get my little that little letter to show the police in case they pulled me over, saying how come you're not in your house.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Yes, and all that rigmarole and stuff like that. But outside of like a couple little things, like having to wear masks and having plastic shields up on the desks and stuff like that, there really hasn't been that much that actually changed as far as my schedule goes, except for like all like the restrictions and like the precautions that I have to take whenever I need to go somewhere, even like picking up my comics at hot comics and stuff like that,
Right. Oh,
needing to keep in mind, yes, you have to remember to wear a mask. You need to make sure you have your little coffee filter in the mask. When my wife made them up, she made like the little pockets so you can slip a little cut up coffee filter in there for a little extra protection. So, and since I have a compromised immune system, I have to make sure to take a little bit extra careful steps around that. So that's why
right.
I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get my 2 shots in.
Me too. You know, um, taking those steps this week myself because my sister's had it. She's in that age group because there's a 14-year gap between us, and she's
Ah,
anxious for me to get it too and everything. But um, gotta wait your turn. And I am more comfortable having folks like you who are out and about and have to be out and about to get it first than me because I'm here. You know,
mhm.
if I was to do something differently, I wanted to draw more. The COVID journal was supposed to help with that, and some of the pages that I wrote quotes on were supposed to be left blank for drawing, and that didn't happen like I thought it was gonna. Was gonna's don't work. Have you noticed that? I was gonna do this, and then
Mhm.
you don't. It was one of those. Writing the quotes is it creates the visuals in my head, but I don't put them down on paper visually like I wanted to. And
Well, I found that happens even like with some of the ideas that I've written out. I mean, like even way before all this stuff started, I filled up like a whole notebook, filled up like this whole plan for like about 3 years or whatever, as far as like what I was going to do with this trip and stuff like that. Recently, I pulled that out just to kind of check to see, how much I was following it, how much of it, just kind of went to the wayside and stuff like that. And it was pretty interesting how some of those ideas just kind of evolved into different interpretations and all that sort of thing along the way. So, you
Right.
know, nothing ever really truly ends up, matching your first initial idea. Everything changes as far as the process goes.
Change is the only constant in the universe.
Exactly.
Oh man. All right. And our last one. Um, what do you want to achieve before things return to normal?
Normal.
Normal. I don't want to return to normal. I think because normal before. Um, I don't think we can go there. So we need a progression to a new normal. The
Right.
And my new normal would be one of them. And Steve Murphy and I talked about this. Understanding time again, with being here all the time and the days just sort of blending together. I
Yes.
talk to my brother a lot, and he's a construction worker, so he's been essential this whole time. He will help me remember what day of the week it is.
Oh, I've had that happen many times. I mean, you work nights and it's like everything just blurs.
Right. And today I've had to start the streams at a certain time, and I've only been on time once, maybe twice. I was on time for this one too, but that's only because I was here half an hour ahead of time because I thought that's when it was going to start.
Right.
So I would like to remember how time works and how the alarm works on my phone again. But then I'm going to share one more last thing. Let's see, I gotta get in and do this first. I did do one fine arts thing, but it was just such a quick thing, and it was before I ended up with a keyboard on my board. Um, I started doing or imitating Jansky a little bit. Ooh, that's a bad image of that. But taking the dandelion because it's one of the images I came up with for doing sympathy cards. Um, how to make a wish that someone's coming back, or some people remind you of dandelions, some of thistles, instead of
Oh, sure, sure.
the traditional poppy as a remembrance. This is a picture that I took of Eagle Lake, which is just down the road from us, in the
Okay.
fall, catching this elusive shade of green in here, which is my favorite shade,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and just the way the tree was going up and over, and I started doing pen and ink, sort of the same way that
Ah.
he does. This is one of my other fountain pens, and just trying to do something a little more stylistic than I would normally do. I usually do more representational, as you saw before, and
hmm
then just adding some color into it.
Oh,
With
wow.
I bought this uh, Amazon. So
Oh,
dangerous,
nice.
so dangerous. This is an erasable pad that replaced post-it notes. I haven't used post-it notes in months. And then the brush is just like Michael's, where it's
Oh, right.
washable.
Yes.
So you can just take the color from the pack and you put it on, and it becomes this.
Oh, nice.
I want to do more of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of watercolor. In fact, you can see in my Discord page, there's like three or four different watercolor pencil paintings that I did, and
Mhm.
those are fun because they don't you don't have quite as much mess. But
Right.
I see that we have a question from the YouTube here that was just passed along to me. Maybe we can use this as kind of as our closer or what
Yeah,
have you.
absolutely.
It says that we're now in a different spot in the pandemic with the vaccines increasing and COVID cases dropping. And the question being, has this current state had an impact on you and your art? I'll let you fill that one first.
Boy. Yeah, I think so. Um, Because those pieces I showed this evening have only just happened in like the last couple of months when things have started to pick up and start to show things around. I think I look at my work a little, I don't know if I look at it differently. I used to be very serious about having to be a very serious artist, and having, because I work in colored pencil, or I did for a very long time. I was in graphite at first, then colored pencil, then moved on to painting. Um, and I came to the realization I'm never going to be a professional artist by any means. So I need to remember to keep it in my heart, I think, and take it less seriously, but also seriously at the same time, and just keep doing it. Our current state of the pandemic and the way things are in Minneapolis right now, with all the fun that's going on downtown, um, I think it does have an impact in that I'm thinking about that so much that I'm forgetting about the creative side of it, and I should be channeling that back around onto something, onto paper, into something creative. Um, Not so much in imagery as much as feeling, maybe, because it did have an impact. Um, the pandemic and the George Floyd incident, um, but not very directly because of what I look like. And I don't know. It's hard to think about the things that I used to draw, which was mostly just faces out of magazines. Um, so it'll be changing again, I think, and that will be my impact and
Mm.
influence.
As far as it would go for me, I think how it would change would be, kind of as you mentioned, or as far as like the, kind of like this change in attitude, as far as like, just looking forward to, kind of being able to access things a little bit more easily than we have in the last year and a half here or so. And I think aside from that, I think it's, to me, I just want to keep moving forward with my art. I mean, I know I'm not the best top-notch cartoonist, otherwise I wouldn't be doing a security job, obviously. And I mean, everything, it doesn't matter how long you've been at something or been doing like a particular type of art. I mean, everything is a learning curve. Everybody can improve, everybody can experiment with different things, learn from those mistakes, like, you know, find new tools. It's kind of like like the whole 10-speed bicycle analogy. It's like, everybody kind of gets used to like both the two or three gears that kind
Oh
of see
yeah.
them through on a bike ride, yeah, but they forget about the other seven, or they haven't had the courage to even attempt to find out how those other seven operate. So,
Oh, and switching them between those other sevens it's kind of scary, because
yes,
the gears do something weird,
right,
and you have to be willing to try and get into the scary.
exactly. So, just be willing to take a few more calculated risks as far as things go, and that sort of thing, and not just visually but also writing as well, because that's the thing, especially when you're doing comics, you're working on both a literal and the visual at the same time, so it's always that whole balancing act that you're trying to figure out what to do. And if one starts to falter, you can definitely see it in the other end of it. So
Okay.
it's just trying to figure out how to get those plates keep spinning in the air, and not end up sweeping up too much ceramic mess.
And I could dig deeper into that with you with your comic and everything, but you have a panel about that tomorrow.
Yes.
So I'm gonna save. I have like 3 questions now. I'm gonna
Okay.
remember to write them down, but we'll see if we can get those in tomorrow. So I'm gonna save it for that. Um, yeah, this was good. You can tell the person who sent us that question that was a good one. Um, so yeah, this was good. I think we reached the end of our list. Um, and they were going to give us a little bit more time because of our technical difficulties, but I think we can wrap up if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Well, then I have notes. Let's see that I'd like to thank whoever's out there, if anybody's watching at all, for bearing with the artsy fartsy folks that we are, and our abstract and concepts and everything. Exactly. Steve and Natasha again for working through the technical difficulties. And
Yes.
MarsCon is happening online all weekend. There's more stuff tonight. There's more stuff tomorrow. Your panel is at what time?
My panel is tomorrow at 1 p.m. And again, daylight savings time, folks. So you
Daylight
got to
savings
spring
time.
ahead. Say, put that up. Turn your clocks ahead an hour or so, because would hate to have you guys, like forget that, and then all of a sudden 1 o'clock when it's actually technically 2 o'clock, and all of a sudden it's like, where is this idiot?
Exactly. Who's this guy? Where'd he go? He's supposed to be here. Oh, I'm in the wrong place.
Those snobby cartoonists, they say they're going to be someplace they're not.
Those cartoonists, for heaven's sake. So, and also there's the GPS charity auctions going on. I hear some good things about that. Buy Girl Scout cookies, because why wouldn't you right now?
Yes.
And
Check out the Artist Alley. Check out not just my channel, but also all the other wonderful, completely awesome, talented artists who are showing their work this year on Discord.
And the Facebook group page.
Yes.
They're out there too. I think the dealers are out there, not the artists, but one of our artists, Ralph Ryan, is out there on the dealers page this year instead of the art show. So usually he does both, I guess. And I guess we haven't seen each other in person. Wow. Long time. Mostly it's been on screen. Oh no, I saw your wife when I dropped off the thing. So yeah. Hopefully we'll see you for MarsCon 2022. Next year. Thank you, everybody. And we'll wish you good night. Should I start singing? Good night. Do-do-do-do. Sleep.
All right.
Do-do-do-do.
Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe.